Falcons lose to the Vikings 42-21. It is their fourth straight loss. They are now no longer in sole possession of first place in the NFC South. And Raheem Morris, after yet another game with no touchdown passes from Kirk Cousins, said, "Everything, quote, is always discussed, but Kirk Cousins is our quarterback." Well, he shouldn't be anymore. 4 straight games, 4 straight weeks, no touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And Atlanta is currently outside of the playoff picture. They are 6-7. They do not control their own destiny anymore. They could go 4-0 the rest of the way, finish 10-7, but if the Buccaneers go 4-0 themselves, the Buccaneers will edge out Atlanta for the NFC South top. And this is what you get, Raheem Morris. You coached frayed, and you made a decision frayed. You went for it, kicked a field goal from the 0-yard line more or less to close out the half, which I've always been a big proponent of. Take the points in the first half, but when you're riding a 3-game losing streak, maybe you turn up the heat a little bit to inject some, positivity into that locker room, especially with how well Atlanta rushed the football. But ultimately, it was another clunker from Kirk Cousins. We're getting tired of seeing it and hearing it, but it's another game with no touchdowns and more turnovers. He's got 8 interceptions in the last month of football. His last touchdown pass came against the Dallas Cowboys at the start of November. We are closer to Christmas now than we are to Kirk Cousins throwing a touchdown pass, and it's been that way for a stretch here. 496 yards of total offense, but a lot of these yards kind of came when this game was somewhat out of reach. But the real backbreaker wasn't just Kirk Cousins, who we'll talk about in a second here, whether or not Michael Penix should start. Spoiler, he should. It was Ray McLeod fumbling on the kickoff return when it was 28-21, and an NFL league-high 12 penalties in a single game by a team this year. Contavious Street cost this team 4 points. 4 points doesn't look like a whole lot here, but when it was tied going into the fourth quarter, every single point was going to matter a lot. But ultimately, it comes back to the quarterback position. Atlanta is late, but thankfully, they're not too late, given how bad the NFC South has been. They could potentially still salvage their season. They have to go to Michael Penix. I know what Raheem Morris said after the game, and I think the reason why he did not pull Kirk at the end was because it was his return to Minnesota, so he wanted to kind of do right by him to not have him be further embarrassed in this game by getting benched in his homecoming. But Michael Penix should start Week 15 on Monday Night Football in Las Vegas. You've got 4 semi-easy games coming up here. You've got the Raiders on the schedule. You've got the Giants. Those 2 teams are the worst 2 teams in football. The Raiders are currently picking 1 in the draft. The Giants are picking 2 in the draft. So those are kind of 2 easier games to get Penix into the swing of things. And then some tougher games. The Commanders, who are currently a wild card team, and then the Panthers, who have given everyone a good fight the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I'd much rather see them go to Penix now rather than wait until Dan Quinn and his revenge game against Atlanta in Week 17 when they play the Commanders. They should have made this move 2 weeks ago, honestly. They should have made this move really at the absolute latest this past week following the Chargers game when we had no reason to believe after his worst performance against the Chargers of his NFL career after the bye that things were going to get magically better. That's what I honestly thought Raheem Morris was hoping for. Just a little bit of pixie dust. Raheem, it's not a Disney movie, dude. This season is going down the drain because of your inability to make a big boy decision and change the quarterback. You kept preaching to us, Kirk's the reason why we're here. Keep saying that right now. Kirk is the reason why you're here right now. He is the reason why this team is 6-7. That sounded cool a few weeks ago. Not so cool anymore. But you made your bed. You kept saying, Kirk's the reason why we're here. We're going to stick by him. Kirk's the reason why you fell from 6-3 to 6-6, and you continue to stick by him despite awful quarterback play that I think any other quarterback outside of like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, although they would never get that bad, would get benched for. But ultimately, I feel like Morris and Terry Fontenot were too afraid to bench him because they had signed him to a $100 million contract, guaranteed money, just a few months earlier back in March. It would be a bad reflection on them in Morris's first year, and what I think is almost a make or break year for Fontenot, because all they've done under him is lose and go 7-10, and I can't believe it, but they are probably odds-on favorite to finish 7-10 yet again. Kirk Cousins has to be benched. I like Kirk. Nice guy. Played well earlier this year. Did not think I'd be saying those words right now. But we have to wake up and hear the music. I mean, it's 4 straight games. No touchdowns. 8 interceptions. Right? The Saints game, the Broncos game, the Chargers game, and now the Vikings game. Last touchdown came against the Dallas Cowboys in early November. Robinson and Algier rushed the ball well today if you want some positivity. 22 carries, 92 yards, a touchdown for Bijan. I mean, they were in this game. It was 21-21 going into the fourth quarter. And Sam Darnold decided to have the best game of his NFL career. Atlanta's defense just was not able to make enough plays to even semi-slow down the Vikings, especially in the fourth quarter when there was blood in the water. It was 28-21, and quickly this game gets out of hand. Mooney had an outstanding performance, though. 6 grabs, 142 yards, 49-yard snag, especially on that one play was to close out the first half. I mean, Cousins just marching down the field and threw a strike to Darnell Mooney. McLeod, he continues to be a solid wide receiver 3, and that's selling him short, but it's unfortunate that that fumble had to happen in that moment, right? It could have happened like maybe 2 kick returns later when this game's out of hand. No, it had to come when you're down 28-21. You're trying to get the ball back and march down the field and tie the game. I'm not going to be too harsh on McLeod. He's been really good for this team all year. It's an unfortunate mistake at a bad time, but that's the way it rolls. And then London, 5 grabs, 70 yards. I'm not going to put that interception, the first one, on London, although Kirk realistically could have had 3 picks if the officials decide to overturn that call on the field of Drake London reception and not have it be an interception by the Vikings player, because on second look, it kind of looked like the Vikings player had a bigger claim to it than Drake London did, but a bit of a dodge bullet for Cousins. He could have easily had 3 interceptions, not just 2 on today. More to say on this in just a moment here, but a big shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this season. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Well, Sam Darnold just dropped his nuts on the Falcons' forehead because that was quite the offensive performance. 318 passing yards as a team. He had 5 passing touchdowns. It was just effort, throwing it to Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison, and that was a good strategy. It worked out very well. 22 of 28. Atlanta's pass rush, let me see if I can find the final stats. I think they might have had 3 or 4 sacks altogether, so it was better than it was earlier this year, but it still doesn't feel like it's an absolute, I mean, I wouldn't say game record, but just an impact on the game. 4 sacks, yeah. Caden Ellis, yet again, with a 10-tackle team high. Eddie Goldman had a sack, Judon, and Arnold Ebiketie. So 4 altogether, but yeah, Darnold just had a game plan of we're going to throw it to Jefferson and Addison, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Even with Mike Hughes back from his injury, it didn't really matter. Addison torched Atlanta's secondary, which is frustrating because it's a secondary with 2 really high-end safeties. And Simmons and Bates, and there was no response, no answer for Jefferson today or Addison. So kudos to the Vikings. They smelled blood in the water, and they capitalized on it. But overarching thoughts here, it's what we've been saying for the last 2 weeks now. You are a week too late in benching Kirk Cousins, and it has cost you the season. Would Penix have won this game? I can't say for sure yes or no, but I think he would have had the Atlanta Falcons in a better position than Kirk Cousins had them. You got to go to Penix. Yeah, Monday Night Football, so an extra day of preparation for him to really to cram everything in. You did Kirk right by not benching him at the end of the game and his return to Minnesota. But Raheem, you were preaching a month ago, Kirk's the reason why we're here. Kirk's the reason why you're here now. I'm using your own words. You got to make a move that's best for the team. Stop doing what you feel like is best for you and Terry Fontenot to save face and avoid accepting a colossal mistake, which was that contract to Kirk Cousins, given the way he has played down the stretch here. You're not the only one that is wrong about it. Like, I wasn't anti Kirk Cousins when they made that signing. I felt like this team was more than just a quarterback away from being a true contender. But, like, hey, I was sipping on the Gatorade for sure. I was having that Kool-Aid. But come on now. Like, you got to at least accept your mistake and move on. Cut your losses here. You're making it worse for yourself. You're going to have a bad contract, and you might be one and done if you go 6-10, 6-11, and you lose the last, what would that be? 8 games, which I know sounds a bit dramatic, but you're on that path right now. Are you not? Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep you guys up to speed on all things Atlanta. We'll have a watch party for Monday Night Football against the Raiders. Sorry for not having one this week. Just schedules did not work out in our favor. But make sure to subscribe down below if you have not already. And I'll see you guys tomorrow talking about, hopefully, Michael Penix being announced the team starter.